Then just as suddenly, she vanished. The fire hissed as if water had been poured over it, and the smoke curled upward in the shape of a claw before dissolving into the black sky. "Elena?" Ryan's sleepy voice broke the silence. He crawled from his sleeping bag, rubbing his eyes. "What's wrong?" Elena snapped the book shut. "Nothing," she lied, too shaken to say more. "Go back to sleep." But she didn't sleep at all. She sat awake, staring at the trees, until dawn painted the forest in pale gray light. By morning the group was restless. Mark was full of energy, bragging about the crazy footage Sophie got of the ruins. Sophie didn't mention that she'd stopped recording long before the whispers began. Jason tried to make jokes, though his eyes darted toward the forest whenever he thought no one was looking. Only Elena stayed silent. She kept the book tucked in her bag, though she felt it pulsing like a heartbeat against her side. As they packed their things, Ryan froze. "Guys." He pointed to the ground. Their campsite was stained. Dark streaks led away from the fire pit, soaking into the soil like veins. At first, Jason said it was spilled wine or food, but then Ryan crouched and touched the ground. His fingers came away wet, red. Blood. Nobody spoke. The forest seemed to lean closer, listening. They should have left. They should have turned around and run back to their car, but Mark refused. "This is it," he said, his eyes bright. "This is proof the curse is real. We've come too far to quit now." "No," Ryan whispered. "We should go. Something's wrong here. Something's very wrong." Sophie looked torn. Fame burned in her eyes, but fear gnawed at her. "What if he's right, Mark? What if this isn't just some ghost story?" Mark smirked. "Then I'll be the greatest story ever told, and I'll be the ones who told it." Elena clutched the book, nails digging into the leather cover. She could feel the witch in her bones now, whispering through the pages, breathing in her mind. And worst of all, she could feel recognition, as though the witch already knew her. They pressed deeper into the forest. The trees grew taller, darker, the canopy blotting out the sky until everything was bathed in a red twilight. Time seemed to lose meaning. Morning faded into something that felt like dusk, though hours hadn't passed. They found strange markings carved into the trunks of the trees, circles, crosses, spirals, all etched deep, as if by claws instead of knives. Jason traced one with his hand. "These look old, centuries old," Elena whispered. "Or eternal." Mark snorted. "Relax, Elena. It's just graffiti." But when they turned, the mark was bleeding. That night, they refused to sleep in the ruins again. They camped a little farther away, though the forest offered no comfort. Elena sat by the fire, flipping through the book again, desperate for answers. The text was written in an ancient dialect, but somehow she could read it, as if the words translated themselves in her mind. Burned alive, but not destroyed. Bound to the soil, bound to the blood. My spirit is eternal, my hunger endless. Those who step within my forest shall be mine, for blood calls to blood. Her hands trembled. "Elena." She looked up to see Sophie watching her. Sophie's eyes were wide, reflecting the fire. "You've been different since we found that book," Sophie whispered. It's like it's speaking to you." Elena swallowed hard. "Because it is." Before Sophie could reply, a scream tore through the night. Ryan. They bolted from the fire, crashing through the underbrush. Ryan was on his knees, clutching his head, screaming as if his skull were splitting apart. Blood poured from his nose, his ears, even his eyes. His hands clawed at his face, tearing skin. "Ryan!" Jason grabbed him, but Ryan's body convulsed violently. Then it happened. From his mouth a thick, black stream of blood poured out. Not natural blood, but something tar-like, alive. It slithered across the ground, seeping into the soil. And from the soil, something began to rise. A hand. Bone-white, dripping blood, with nails like daggers. The group stumbled back in horror as the figure pulled itself free from the earth. A woman's body, tall and skeletal, skin stretched thin over bones. Her hair flowed like rivers of ink, and her eyes burned red. The blood witch of Ravenwood had awakened. Ryan collapsed, lifeless, as the witch stepped forward. Her smile was jagged, her teeth black and sharp. "Children," she hissed, her voice echoing from every direction at once. "You called me, and I have answered." Sophie screamed. Jason dragged her back, while Mark, foolish, fearless Mark, lifted a branch like a weapon. "Stay back," he shouted. The witch tilted her head. Then she laughed, a sound like bones snapping. Mark charged. The witch didn't move. She simply raised a hand, and the blood on the ground surged upward like vines, wrapping around Mark's legs. He screamed as the crimson tendrils yanked him to the earth. His skin began to blister, then peel away, as if the blood itself was fire. "Elena!" Sophie shrieked. "Do something!" Elena's hands tightened on the book. The witch's eyes flicked toward her, and for a moment, everything froze. The forest went silent. Even the fire seemed to bow. "You," the witch whispered. Her voice slithered inside Elena's mind, curling like smoke. "Your blood is mine. You are my heir." Elena's vision blurred. She saw flashes, memories that weren't hers. A woman tied to a stake, flames devouring her, screaming words of vengeance. The same red eyes, staring into the crowd, cursing every descendant. And then Elena understood. The curse wasn't random. She was tied to the witch by blood. The blood witch wasn't just haunting her. She was inside her. The arrival. The Ravenwood forest had always been more than just a patch of ancient trees. For centuries the villagers whispered that the soil itself was cursed, tainted by the blood of a woman who had been wronged. They said the forest fed on the souls of the living, and that on certain nights when the moon turned red, the ground bled like a living wound. It was the kind of story people told around campfires, with half a laugh and half a shiver. No one truly believed it, at least not until 5 friends decided to test the myth. The group was a mix of thrill-seekers and skeptics. Mark, the leader, bold but arrogant, always hungry for danger. Jason, sarcastic and logical, who thought everything had an explanation. Ryan, nervous, jumpy, easily scared. Elena, quiet, thoughtful, with an unusual curiosity about old folklore. Sophie, the energetic one, filming everything for her vlog, desperate for attention. They arrived at Ravenwood just before dusk, parking their car at the edge of the forest. The trees loomed tall, branches twisted together like skeletal arms, blocking most of the fading sunlight. The air was cold, too cold for late summer, and the silence pressed against them like a weight. "Creepy," Ryan muttered, clutching his backpack straps. "Why does it feel like the forest doesn't want us here?" Mark laughed. "That's the whole point, man. We're here for adventure. Ghost stories don't scare us, right?" Sophie lifted her phone, already recording. "This is perfect. Guys, we're officially entering Ravenwood, the most haunted forest in the state. If we don't make it out alive, at least I'll go viral." Jason rolled his eyes. "You'll go viral when you trip and fall into poison ivy." Elena didn't laugh. Her gaze lingered on the trees. The bark seemed darker here, almost black, and every branch bent inward as though the forest was closing around them. She thought she saw something move, just a flicker in the shadows. But when she blinked, it was gone. They walked deeper, following an overgrown path until they reached a clearing. In the center stood the ruins of a stone building, its walls cracked and half swallowed by vines. Broken wooden beams jutted out like bones. "This must have been a chapel," Elena whispered. Jason kicked at a stone. "Or a barn, or just a pile of rocks." Mark smirked. "Whatever it was, this is where the witch was burned, right? That's what the legend says?" Sophie zoomed her camera in. "Yes, people say they executed her right here, burned her alive. She cursed the land with her last breath." Ryan shuddered. "Don't say that. It's just a story." But as they stood in the ruins, the air seemed to thicken. A faint coppery smell drifted through the clearing, like rust or old blood. Inside the ruins, Elena found something half buried beneath rubble. She brushed the dirt away and pulled out a thick, leather-bound book. The cover was stained dark, and when she opened it, the pages stuck together. Strange symbols filled the margins, drawn in a dark, reddish ink. Jason leaned over her shoulder. "What the hell is that?" "A diary," Elena said softly. "Or a spell book." Mark grabbed it from her. "This is gold, proof of the legend. Imagine the footage Sophie can get with this." But Sophie wasn't filming anymore. She had lowered her camera, eyes wide, staring at the page. "That's not ink," she whispered. "That's blood." The moment the word left her lips, a gust of wind tore through the clearing. The trees groaned, branches snapping overhead. The air turned icy, their breath misting in front of their faces. Ryan spun in a circle. "Did you hear that? Someone's whispering." They all froze. From the shadows, a faint voice hissed, low and broken, but unmistakably human. "My blood will never dry." Elena's hands shook as she took the book back. The voice seemed to seep from the pages themselves, like the book was breathing. Jason forced a laugh, but his voice cracked. It's just the wind, echoing. Nothing supernatural." But the ground beneath their feet trembled, just slightly, as though something deep below had stirred. Mark grinned, pretending he wasn't scared. "See? This is the real deal. We're unlocking history, people." Elena wanted to scream at him, to tell him to stop, but her voice caught in her throat. Her heart hammered in her chest, and in that moment she knew something had heard them. Something that had been waiting centuries to be awakened. That night they set up camp by the ruins. A small fire flickered, fighting against the suffocating darkness. The forest was unnaturally quiet. No crickets, no owls, no rustle of small animals. Only the fire crackled, and even that seemed too loud. Elena couldn't sleep. She sat by the dying fire, the book resting on her knees. Its pages almost seemed alive, pulsing faintly in the firelight. When she touched one of the symbols, her finger tingled, as if she'd pressed it to an open wound. She turned a page, and her breath caught. There was a sketch. A woman with long black hair, eyes glowing like embers, and a body wrapped in flames. The caption beneath it read, "The Blood Witch of Ravenwood, Eternal." A twig snapped behind her. Elena turned quickly, but there was nothing, only shadows. Yet the air was heavy again, filled with that coppery scent of blood. Then she saw it. Just beyond the firelight, at the edge of the ruins, stood a figure, a woman. Her hair dragged across the ground. Her face was hidden in shadow, but her eyes burned red like smoldering coal. Elena couldn't move. She couldn't breathe. And then, the woman smiled. The awakening. Elena's scream never left her throat. Her voice was trapped inside her, strangled by fear. The figure at the edge of the firelight swayed slightly, as if the night breeze carried her bones instead of flesh.